Without further ado, I want to introduce the Member of Congress from the 5th Congressional District, Cathy McMorris Rodgers. Let's give her a round of applause. She's joining us via Skype. And thanks for being here. Representative, thank you very much for making time. I know you've got a lot going on back in DC and votes coming on the floor. If you want to maybe say a few words to open up, and then you and I can just kind of banter a bit. Take her away.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, it's great to be with all of you. I am proud to represent Eastern Washington and proud to represent so many that are leaders within the healthcare industry. This is very important. Having grown up in a small town in Eastern Washington, Kettle Falls, I especially understand some of the challenges facing rural, and believe that as we move forward, we need to take all of this into consideration, rural, underserved, and then the larger areas. I have also, through the years, served as the co-chair, actually, of the Rural Health Coalition, which is a group of bipartisan members here on Capitol Hill that focus on issues especially important to rural healthcare delivery. My goal and my belief is that we want everyone to have access to quality and affordable healthcare. And as I've traveled around Eastern Washington, I've heard from so many providers who have shared with me some of the challenges that they face, even keeping their doors open at different times, whether it's reimbursement rates through Medicare or Medicaid or other challenges. Healthcare is very personal, and I want to be a partner to everyone in Eastern Washington as it relates to improving what's working well in healthcare, but also fixing the areas that we need to focus on. And access to quality and affordable healthcare is something that we can all agree on. I am for more choice and greater competition to lower healthcare costs. I'm for improving access and ensuring that vulnerable populations get the care that they need and that they deserve. I am for limiting frivolous lawsuits that drive up healthcare costs. I'm for allowing small businesses to join together in an association so that they can offer more plans for their employees. I'm for allowing for individuals to go across state lines to get health insurance. I believe that we need a competitive health insurance marketplace that will allow better choices that are more tailored to the needs of individuals and families. I am for strengthening Medicare and Medicaid to protect current beneficiaries and ensure that these safety nets are strong and secure. And that's why I've been leading on a number of issues during this Congress and other ones too, but I wanted to highlight them real quick and then we can open it up. But I'm proud to have led on the Teaching Health Center GME legislation, which is extending that program. And in Spokane, we have a national model for a teaching health clinic. In the legislation I led, we doubled the funding. And this is residencies that are important for psychiatry, mental health, OBGYN, and other really primary care, where we have significant needs, not just in Eastern Washington, but around the country. And we all recognize that wherever you do your residency, you're more likely to stay there. So I'm proud to have led that legislation that was signed into law, where I'm also working to get more residencies at the VA, because I hear this everywhere I go, that we have a doctor shortage, that we need more doctors. I'm leading on increasing reimbursements for home health care right now. There were some substantial cuts to home health care in the ACA, and I am leading to get some of those reimbursements restored. We're losing durable medical equipment providers right now, and the services that we need in the home, whether it's oxygen or durable medical equipment, is real. I was talking with Seema Verma just last week at CMS about some of the proposed rule changes as it relates to durable medical equipment providers. I believe that we need to address the cost of prescription drugs. I've long called for more transparency, more accountability with PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. Just today, the Energy and Commerce Committee, on which I serve, passed legislation on the gag clause for pharmacists, that currently they are prohibited from offering an individual
or even making a patient aware that they could get a lower cost prescription drug if they paid cash versus paying the copay. I believe that we also need to move to getting more drugs available through generic means, because that lowers the cost and provides more options for patients. Finally, I just wanted to highlight on innovation, and I'm proud that America has led the world in medical innovation and breakthroughs. I'm proud to have helped lead on the 21st Century Cures legislation and want to keep building on that, because the more that we can actually focus on cures, that is a way to save cost in the entire system. I have voted for billions of dollars in increase at NIH. We quadrupled the funding for Alzheimer's this Congress, and also significantly increased research dollars for cancer and other areas. But if we can focus there more, it will help across the board as far as bringing down costs and improving the quality of life for people. So as I think about the state of healthcare, one of the areas I really want to focus is on innovation and getting even more research dollars in Eastern Washington. But bottom line, I want to focus on where we have shared goals. I want to be a problem solver that works on reforms to ensure that America is leading and that we have the best healthcare system in the world. And with that, I'd love to hear what questions or suggestions you have on your mind this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Representative. I appreciate you making time and for those remarks. I think it's a good reminder that there are a lot of bits of legislation that pass outside of the Affordable Care Act. And there's just one. It's a big bill, of course, but much of the talk around federal health policy, at least the sort of maybe headline rhetoric, has been around the Affordable Care Act and the House and Senate's attempt with the American Health Care Act here in 2017. As a leader in the House Republican Conference, when you reflect back on the American Health Care Act, I wonder what lessons you have taken from that Republican bill, and the bill passes the House, gets held up in the Senate. What sort of lessons do you take from that experience in 2017 that might inform health policy moving forward?
Right. Well, if I had a do-over, I believe that it's very important that we're presenting the overall vision of what we, and if we can, and as we move forward, if we can do this bipartisan, I think it would be great to find those areas where we can find some agreement. But what is our vision? We have to answer the question, what is our vision for healthcare in America? And what do we want for every person? And clearly, healthcare, it's very complicated. There's the health insurance reforms themselves, and I feel like even from the beginning, we did not present our American Health Care Act in a way that people could really understand. That there were so many different phases, and as Republicans, we weren't even pulling in the same direction between the House and the Senate and the administration. So I think maybe we need to break it into pieces. Maybe we need to look at health insurance reforms themselves. What do we need as far as health insurance reforms? And then what are the reforms that we need for innovation and making sure that Medicare is strong and Medicaid is strong and those safety nets are provided for. But maybe we need to break it up so that it would be clearer, the different aspects and what the goals are in each area of healthcare reform moving forward.
One of the sort of changes, as you know better than almost anybody, one of the changes in Congress over the years, since the time when your former seat holder Tom Foley served in Congress, Congress now very much has to hold its caucus together, has to hold its conference together rather than try to find or explore bipartisanship. I think Senator John McCain in his last comments on the Senate floor talked about returning to regular order. Do you think that returning to a process that is extended, where more amendments are held, and that your committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, which Greg Walden leads, really can sort of dig into details and flesh out policy, as you're suggesting maybe might be better. Do you think that that is possible to return to that kind of order? Or are we just in a time, for better or worse, where both parties do this, but we're in a time where Congress just has to hold its conference together and just accept the reality that bipartisanship is a limited offering?
I believe that we must make Congress work on behalf of the people. I have been a part of a bipartisan group of members actually that have been looking at Congress of tomorrow and what are the reforms that we can be promoting to the rules package, to the structure internally, House and Senate, to get Congress to function more effectively. Yeah. And yes, the health care bill, the American Health Care Act that we passed in the House, that was a party line vote. And the other big bill this Congress, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, also turned out to be party line. I would like to highlight to people that of the bills that President Trump has signed, this Congress, 68% of them have enjoyed bipartisan support. It is a 20-year high. And I think at times when people are so focused on the president, on the administration, on the latest tweet, that sometimes what is actually being done between the House and the Senate and the work that we're doing in our committees, that there is, when you consider 68% of the bills have had bipartisan support, 20-year high, that there is a lot of work that is being done in a bipartisan fashion. I've had 10 bills pass the House this year. All of them have enjoyed bipartisan support. And so it does take members that are committed to really being problem solvers, to sitting down and being able to talk about an issue. And that's where caucuses like the Rural Health Caucus and that coalition give those members, bipartisan members, an opportunity to come together and talk about an issue more from a regional perspective in this case than actually a partisan perspective. Yeah. And we need to have more of that. And I do think where I started, it does include some reforms to how Congress functions itself.
Let me ask you sort of this last question. There's the age-old adage, of course, that people love their member of Congress and despise Congress. And this year, there are a lot of opinions about the president amongst people who have supported you, will continue to support you in the future, but a wide range of opinions. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you find opportunities to differentiate yourself in the conference, as a conference, or as a member of Congress from the president in this time of polarized politics?
Right. Well, for me, my focus is on the people of Eastern Washington, and I work for the people of Eastern Washington. And when you look at the legislation that I have worked on, the caucuses that I'm a part of, all of my priorities reflect issues important to the people of Eastern Washington. I'm proud to be a part of getting some results that I believe are really making a difference in people's lives. But there's times, I don't agree with everything that the president says or does, and I've spoken out at those times. But I also contend you have to work with a lot of people that you don't agree with everything that they say or do. But fundamentally, I'm a legislator. I'm in the legislative branch, and Congress, the House of Representatives, is the body that is closest to the people, most accountable to the people. And on behalf of the people, we must function and we must do our jobs. And that's where I believe that each one of us doing our part to restore trust and confidence in representative government and making sure that people believe that they can make a difference and that their voices are being heard and reflected in the legislative process is so important. It's foundational to who we are as Americans. Well, and so we all need to join in that commitment.
Representative, we appreciate very much this community. We have about 300 folks here at State Reform here today, and we appreciate very much that you've taken the time to offer a few of your thoughts. Please know that you have a standing invitation in any capacity that you have in the future, including president, vice president, or private citizen. Love to have you with us. So thanks again for your service and for joining us. Let's give her a round of applause.